My boyfriend Ryan laughed and said, "You've got the easiest life. No job, no stress." His friends cheered. I smiled, knowing his quarterly bonus came from my signature. I didn't even blink, just raised my glass and clinked his, the way a good girlfriend is supposed to do. The beer was warm, so was the shame. Inside, my stomach turned. Not from the laughter. Hell, I'd been called lazy before, but from how natural it felt for them to laugh at me. Ryan's buddies smacked the table, one shouting, "Damn, Ryan, don't get her mad, or she might finally Google how to get a job." I gave a small shrug and sipped my drink. Didn't say I'd held 5 back-to-back investor meetings that week. Didn't say I owned the building they parked in. 2 years into this relationship and I was still his between-gigs girlfriend. The one who stayed home while he worked real hours. Who never had to stress over bosses, because she didn't have one. Monica warned me this might happen. "If you stay quiet long enough, they'll confuse silence for absence," she said over brunch once. That was just after we hit our Series A funding target. Just before Ryan called to ask if I'd make dinner since you're home anyway. That night after the party, I sat cross-legged on the living room rug. My laptop glowed in the dark, casting shadows across the couch Ryan had passed out on. I opened the transfer log. There it was, his name. Bennett, Ryan A. Operations Shift Lead. Facility, District 9. Performance, mixed. Below him, 2 names I recognized from the party. Travis Nolan, Connor Rivas. Both loud, both smug, both due for review, thanks to last month's internal culture audit. Jasmine from HR had flagged the incident reports. I didn't hesitate. Just forwarded the report to Monica with the subject line, "Let's pull the lever." She replied in under a minute. "It's time." Ryan stirred on the couch, scratching his chest, mumbling something about forgetting to set an alarm. I sat there in the dark, breathing quiet and even. My laptop chimed. Access list updated. No fireworks, no drama, just a subtle click as a trapdoor opened beneath him. I closed the lid. The wheel had begun to turn. He woke late, swearing softly when he saw the time. I watched from the kitchen, stirring oatmeal, acting like I didn't know what came next. Ryan grabbed his keys, kissed my cheek out of habit. "You're lucky," he said through a yawn. "I'd kill for a day with no alarms." I just smiled and nodded, like someone who hadn't greenlit the HR audit that morning. Like someone who didn't sign his department's payroll. 30 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Travis Nolan. "Leah, you up?" I stared at the message. We hadn't spoken in months, not since he'd interned on the ops dashboard redesign, back when he still respected me. Or pretended to. I texted back, "I'm always up." He replied instantly. "Something's up at work. Badge denial, system lockouts. It's weird. Ryan's losing it." I didn't answer. Just scrolled up and reread our last message. He'd joked about dating down when Ryan introduced me at the office picnic. Maybe he didn't think I caught the tone. But I did. The next ping was from Jasmine. Confirmed. All 3 flagged for internal review. COO wants to address it company-wide. Should we move forward? I tapped once. Back in the kitchen, my coffee had gone cold. I poured it out and made another, stronger one. An hour later, my building's security app blinked. Guest arrival, Ryan Bennett. I buzzed him in. The front door slammed. "Leah," he called, panicked. "My badge isn't working." They locked me out. "I need your laptop to send an email. HR said I'm under some kind of review." I leaned against the counter, holding my mug. "I'm sure they have their reasons," I said quietly. He blinked. "You don't even care?" "Babe, this is my job. They said something about misconduct. Travis is freaking out too. What the hell is going on?" I shrugged. "Sounds serious." Ryan started pacing. "I need to talk to someone higher up." Jasmine was all clipped, like she knew something. I tilted my head. "Did she?" He didn't notice the shift in my voice. He just kept pacing, running a hand through his hair. Outside, a delivery truck passed. It bore my company's logo. Ryan didn't see it. The irony thickened. Inside our apartment, the man mocking me for being jobless had no idea I'd just rewritten the terms of his employment. He stormed out 10 minutes later, muttering about finding Travis. I didn't follow, just rinsed my mug, dried it, and set it on the rack. Then, I opened my laptop. Slack was on fire. Jasmine had posted the town hall agenda. HR updates, misconduct probe summary, followed by a quote, special executive announcement. My name was listed last, in bold. Monica messaged, "This is your moment. You ready?" I typed, "Let's introduce them to their real boss." She replied with a thumbs up emoji and a gavel. At 10:45, I walked the 3 blocks to our headquarters, pulled the door open with my ID badge, the same one Ryan used to hang his keys on. The front desk girl, Danny, smiled wide. "Leah, big day, huh?" I just nodded. "Sure is." I took the elevator alone. Each floor we passed made my chest thrum louder. Not nerves, just years of being unseen catching up with me. The conference room was packed. Ops, marketing, admin, everyone jammed shoulder to shoulder. Ryan and Travis stood near the back, whispering. Connor looked like he hadn't slept. Jasmine caught my eye and nodded. Her arms were crossed, but her expression was steel. She wasn't the type to let harassment slide. Not anymore. Our COO stepped up first. "Morning all. Before we dive into our misconduct review, I'd like to introduce someone many of you know, but not fully." He gestured toward me. "This is Leah Morgan, majority stakeholder and co-founder of StratX Logistics." The room turned ice silent. Travis's mouth dropped open. Ryan blinked, then blinked again. Connor whispered, "Wait, what?" I stepped forward, slowly, calmly. "This company was built on integrity, resilience, and respect," I began. "Lately, I've noticed cracks forming, especially in operations. That ends today." I scanned the crowd, eyes pausing briefly on each face that once laughed at me. Ryan was sheet white. "Moving forward," I said, "all departments will undergo culture retraining. We're better than this." I paused, looked directly at Ryan. "And I won't let anyone confuse silence for weakness again." Behind me, Jasmine started to clap, then Monica, and then, one by one, the rest followed. Ryan didn't. His hands were in his pockets, his eyes fixed on the floor. He had just learned who signed his check, and who could end it. After the town hall, nobody looked me in the eye, except Jasmine. She approached while I sipped water at the refreshment table. She said she'd filed her report that morning. She'd included the audio from the party. Ryan's voice, mocking me. "She just chills all day. Must be nice having no real job." The laughter afterward wasn't loud, but it was clear. "HR already started the interviews," Jasmine said. "Legal's involved now." I nodded, throat dry. "Thank you." She tilted her head. "Why didn't you say anything sooner?" I gave a half smile. "Sometimes people don't hear you until you stop speaking." Jasmine grinned. "Well, they're listening now." Back in my office, I found a message from Monica waiting. Subject, formal notice. Review outcomes pending attached was the doc. Misconduct investigation initiated for Ryan, Travis, and Connor. Workplace harassment, code of conduct violations, and retaliation risk analysis. I signed the acknowledgement, then turned off notifications. Sat back, watched the sunlight creep across my desk. By late afternoon, my door creaked open. It was Travis. He looked wrecked, shirt wrinkled, voice dry. "Can we talk?" I didn't say no. Just gestured to the chair across from me. He sat, fidgeted. "I didn't know you were you." I didn't reply. I was stupid. "I thought you were just..." He stopped. "That night at the party, I didn't say anything, but I didn't stop it either." Still, I said nothing. He leaned forward. "I interned under you 2 years ago. You mentored me. I don't know how I forgot that." I raised an eyebrow. "You didn't forget. You stopped seeing me." He winced. "I'd like to testify," he said quietly. "HR's asking questions. I'll tell the truth." I looked at him a long moment. This wasn't pity. It wasn't forgiveness. It was strategy. I said, "Then tell them everything." He stood, nodded, hesitated. "I'm sorry." I let him leave with that. Outside my window, I watched a delivery drone hover and land on the rooftop pad. Travis was the first domino. I didn't need him to fall, just to tip the rest, because the audit hadn't just uncovered harassment. It had revealed how Ryan's team rewrote clock-ins, how bonuses were gamed. They'd mocked the lazy girlfriend. But the lazy girlfriend? She had receipts. And soon, she'd have their jobs. The next morning started quiet. No pings, no slacks, just a long, humming silence, like the moment before a wave hits. Then Monica called. "They found it," she said. I didn't have to ask what. She meant the time-stamped edits to payroll. The flagged entries where Ryan and Connor adjusted overtime logs, mostly theirs. A pattern so dumb it was insulting. Same minutes added every Friday. Copy-paste fraud. Legal's preparing severance options, she continued. But the board wants optics clean. No lawsuits, no viral stories. I leaned back in my chair. "So I get to be graceful," Monica laughed. "You get to be undeniable." At noon, HR scheduled individual meetings. Jasmine texted me 2 words. "They're squirming." Ryan was up first. I watched from my office camera feed. He paced the hallway outside HR like a cat in a rainstorm. When the door opened, he nearly jumped. 32 minutes later, he emerged red-faced, jaw tight, clutching a sealed envelope. He came straight to my office. Didn't knock. Just barged in, waving the envelope like a threat. "You set this up." I stayed seated, calm. "No, you set this up. I just turned the lights on." His hand dropped. He looked confused, like a man who'd never had to answer to anyone, but finally ran out of rooms to hide in. "I didn't know," he said. I stood slowly. "Didn't know I owned the building? Or that I founded the company? Or that I'd been paying for your mistakes since day one?" He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I picked up the envelope, slipped it into my drawer without reading it. "I'll review it," I said. "If there's anything worth salvaging, I'll let you know." He took a step back, eyes darting. "You?" he started, then stopped. I raised an eyebrow. "Say it." He looked down. "You could have embarrassed me publicly. At the town hall. In front of everyone." I nodded. "I still could." He nodded too, slowly. "You're not who I thought you were." I gave a soft smile. "No, Ryan. I'm exactly who I've always been. You just weren't looking." He turned, left without another word, and for the first time in 2 years, I watched him walk away and didn't feel a single thing. By Friday, the HR fallout was no longer quiet. Jasmine forwarded me an anonymous tip email. Subject line, "Warehouse shift lead stealing company time." The sender included screenshots of a group chat. Ryan, Connor, 2 others, bragging about their Friday fade-outs and forging logs. Travis's name wasn't in the chat. He really had flipped. The COO replied directly to my inbox. "We're recommending termination with cause for Connor. Ryan's on the line. Would you like to deliver it personally?" I stared at the message for a while, then typed, "No, I'll handle closure my way." And that came Monday. I waited until Ryan requested a one-on-one, probably expecting mercy. He showed up in a button-down he never wore before, trying to look like the guy the first met, not the one who laughed at me behind a beer can. He sat across from me, hands folded tight. "I messed up," he said, "and I know I can't fix all of it, but I didn't mean for it to go this far." I let the silence sit, let him sweat. Then I pulled open my drawer and slid the envelope back across the desk, unopened. "This is your severance," I said. "Legal says you're entitled to it." "I'm not interested in pettiness." He blinked. "You're not firing me yourself?" I shook my head. "No, I'm releasing you." He looked like he wanted to ask something else. Then his eyes caught the framed photo on my shelf. Me and Monica. Early days. Whiteboard behind us. Chaos all over it. Pure startup hell. He stared at it. "You built this?" he asked. I nodded. "From nothing." And that was the moment he realized how little he'd ever known me. 2 years in. Countless dinners, weekends, shared jokes, and not once had he asked what I actually did all day. I stood. "Take the envelope, Ryan, and the lesson." He did. When he left, he didn't look back. That night, Jasmine sent me a selfie from the break room, her with Travis, both smiling. Caption, "Today felt different." I stared at it for a long time, then typed my reply. "Good. We're just getting started." By Wednesday, Jasmine had become something unexpected. A force. She hosted the first post-audit training herself. Bias mitigation, harassment policy, workplace respect. Travis volunteered to assist. I sat in the back row, unannounced. Jasmine opened with a clip. Ryan's voice, from that beer-soaked night. She just chills all day. No job, no stress. The laughter echoed through the room like a slap. A few faces turned to me. I didn't flinch. Jasmine paused the clip and said, "This is what happens when perception outruns reality. When silence gets mistaken for absence." Then she pointed to the new slide. Leadership isn't loud. I felt something shift in that room, like everyone had been holding their breath for months and didn't know it. Afterward, as people filed out, a junior staffer stopped by my seat. Nervous. "I didn't know you were... I never realized." I smiled. "You weren't supposed to." That was the point. He nodded slowly. I think that's what makes it hit harder. Later that day, Monica walked into my office holding a stack of contracts. "Got the new supplier bids. Guess who underbid everyone in your logistics network?" I raised an eyebrow. "Ryan. He's already pitching companies. Told someone at a trade show he used to work up close with executive strategy." I laughed once, sharp and brief. "Did he mention it was under review?" "Nope. But one of our vendors sent me his pitch deck." She slid it over. It was fine. Not great. A patchwork of half-formed buzzwords and recycled performance metrics. The kind of deck built on fumes and bravado. I skimmed it. One slide caught my eye. A screenshot of our internal dashboard. I tapped the corner. "He's still using access credentials." Monica whistled low. "Want me to pursue it?" I thought for a second, then shook my head. "Not yet. Let him run his mouth. Let him build castles on sand. Because when you fight shadows, you forget the storm is behind you." That evening, I walked the warehouse floor for the first time in months, just to see. One forklift driver nodded. "Hey, boss." I paused. He meant it. I smiled. "Evening." Then walked on, soft steps echoing in a building I didn't need to defend anymore. It already spoke for me. The next surprise came Friday morning. Jasmine called. "Check your inbox. You're gonna love this." I clicked open the email. Subject line, "Vendor inquiry. Urgent." It was from a regional freight company we'd just signed with. Attached was a recording. A familiar voice. Ryan. He was pitching himself as an independent strategist, claiming inside knowledge about our executive team's habits, mine included. He dropped names, hinted at upcoming contracts, even referenced confidential rollout schedules we hadn't made public yet. My jaw tightened. He hadn't just burned his bridge, he was trying to sell the ashes. Jasmine said, "That's not the best part. Listen to minute 4. I pressed play again. "And if you're wondering how I know all this," Ryan said, cocky as ever, "well, let's just say I used to be close to someone important." The vendor representative on the call sounded skeptical. "You mean you dated her?" Ryan laughed. "She was just a placeholder. She liked to play CEO while I ran the real numbers." Something in me went still. Not angry, not hurt, just surgical. I replied to the vendor representative personally, thanked them for flagging the issue, reaffirmed our confidentiality clause. Then I wrote one more email, this time to Monica. Subject, legal action begin process. 3 hours later, Ryan's LinkedIn was updated. New title, freelance consultant, logistics and strategy. No clients listed, no endorsements, just one desperate man still trying to reclaim a throne he never built. Monica messaged, "We'll hit him with breach of NDA, defamation, and misrepresentation. If he's smart, he'll settle quietly." I replied, "He's not smart." That evening, I stood in front of the mirror, brushing my hair back for an industry gala I'd nearly skipped. The dress was understated, black, sharp. At the event, Jasmine introduced me to the head of one of our new partner firms. "She's the reason this place works," she said, beaming. He extended his hand. "You're the silent architect." I shook his hand. Not silent, just selective. And in the ballroom's gold light, I realized something. I never needed them to cheer. I just needed them to see. By the next week, Ryan's consulting career had gone dark. Vendors stopped returning his emails. Word had gotten out. He'd tried selling insider info, and now he was radioactive. Monica confirmed the cease and desist had landed. He replied with 3 words, she told me on a call. "This is unfair." I didn't laugh, just said, "He'll get over it." Meanwhile, back at headquarters, something unexpected happened. Jasmine came by my office with a folder. "End of quarter performance reviews." she said, then added with a smirk, "You might want to read the last one out loud." I flipped through familiar names, solid notes. Then I reached the final sheet. Travis Nolan. Self-assessment summary. I failed upward for too long. I confused who I worked for with who I could impress. That ends now. Under mentorship goal, he'd written, "Earn back the trust of the person who once believed in me." I stared at the page. 2 years ago, he was a bright intern. Sharp, curious, a little too eager to fit in. I'd recommended him for his current job, and he'd repaid that trust by laughing at my silence. Now, he was trying to rebuild. I called him in. He walked in stiff, clearly expecting judgment. I held up the paper. "You meant this?" He nodded. "I don't expect forgiveness, just the chance to be better." I leaned back. "Then start with this. Run point on the new supplier integration. It's yours." His eyes widened. "Wait, seriously? You want a second chance? Earn it." He straightened. "I will." As he left, I watched his reflection in the glass, shoulders back, stride steady. The guilt wasn't gone, but the shame had started shifting into work, and that I could respect. Later that day, Monica texted a screenshot. Ryan had deactivated his LinkedIn. No farewell post, no pivot, just vanished. Underneath, she wrote, "He's done. Want a victory drink?" I stared at the message, then typed, "Not yet. I've got one last thing to do." Because there was one person left to see it. One person who watched me fade into the background for 2 years and still thought they knew what success looked like. Ryan's buddy, Connor. He'd been silent this whole time. But according to Jasmine, he still clocked in, still walked the halls, still hadn't learned. That was about to change. Connor didn't get the memo. While Ryan was unraveling and Travis was rebuilding, Connor kept showing up like nothing happened. Same smug smile. Same lazy wave at the front desk. Jasmine called it out first. "He's skating," she said. "Thinks keeping his mouth shut means he's in the clear." I reviewed his last 2 performance audits. Late shipments, skipped check-ins, zero initiative. His metrics hadn't dipped, they'd plummeted. I pulled the security logs next. Sure enough, badge swipe showed he was clocking out early, tagging a coworker to swipe him back in. Classic ghost work. I met with Monica the next day. "We've got him. Ready to pull the plug?" She handed me a folder. Inside, screenshots, logs, 2 witness statements. But there was one more thing I needed. A choice. I walked the warehouse floor that evening, same route I'd taken last week. The building was half lit, forklifts docked, radios quiet. Connor was there, in the break room, scrolling his phone with both feet up on the table. He didn't see me at first. When he did, he straightened fast, muttered, "Ma'am?" "Connor," I said, "we need to talk." I handed him the folder. He flipped it open, skimmed, then looked up. What is this, some kind of setup?" "No," I said calmly. "It's an exit." He stood, jaw working like he wanted to speak, argue, fight. Instead, I stepped forward, voice low. "You think silence is survival. It's not. It's slow death by relevance." He didn't answer, just clenched the folder tighter. I continued, "You never once asked who ran this place. You just assumed if someone wasn't loud, they weren't in charge." His face flushed. "Ryan, he said you were just—" "I know what he said." I cut in, "and now he's gone." Connor looked down. "What happens now?" I shrugged. "That depends. You want to keep coasting, do it elsewhere. But if you're ready to grow up and do the work, start fresh, somewhere else." He nodded slowly, took the folder, and walked out without a word. No shouting, no scene. Just another ghost, finally fading out of a story he never understood. And me? I walked back to my office with one thought. Only 2 players left on the board. The second to last came to me. Monday morning, Monica knocked once and cracked the door. "Visitor," she said, smirking. "Didn't come through reception. Just wandered in." I looked up. Liam, Ryan's old friend, Claire's boyfriend, the guy who once laughed at me over brunch, then called me boss by accident at the office Christmas mixer. He stepped inside, hat in hand. Literally. "I was hoping you'd have a minute." I waved him in. He sat, careful, nervous. "I didn't know." he said quietly. Back then, I mean. When Ryan ran his mouth, I said nothing. I should have said something. But I didn't know who you were. I leaned forward. Then say it now. He met my eyes. You were the one who signed my onboarding papers. Yes, I said. And the one who approved your raise last quarter. He winced, then pulled something from his pocket. A flash drive. What's that? He set it on my desk. Emails. From Ryan. Right before the audit. He was planning to pitch vendors. Said he had leverage. I raised an eyebrow. Why now? He sighed. Because I don't want to be the last coward standing. I stared at the drive, then back at him. Why bring this to me, not HR? Because you built this place, he said. And I figure you should get to decide what happens to the last ghosts. I slid the drive across my desk. Didn't touch it. You still dating Claire? No, he said, quick. We broke up last month. Said she didn't like how I changed. I said I didn't like pretending anymore. I watched him a moment longer, then stood. You're not in trouble, I said. But you're done in operations. Starting next week, you're shadowing Jasmine in compliance. His eyes widened. You're serious? She asked for someone who could spot problems early. You want redemption? Earn it with her. He stood. Thank you. I nodded. Don't thank me yet. She doesn't go easy. He smiled. More honest this time. Good. I don't want easy. When he left, I finally picked up the flash drive, slipped it into my drawer. There was only one name left who hadn't surfaced, and she'd been listening this whole time. Her message came at 6:12 a.m. from Jasmine Clark, subject, audio confirmation, party clip, no text body, just an attachment. I clicked it. Ryan's voice, slurry and loud. Background clatter of glass, laughter. Then, she thinks she's got it made, sits around in sweats all day. Pretty face, no fire. I bet she couldn't lead a team of ducks. Someone else chuckled, hard to place. Then Jasmine's voice, soft but steady. You don't know her. Ryan barked. Please, Leah's barely a name. You know who's got the real weight around here? Me. I move trucks. She just scrolls spreadsheets. The audio ended with the clink of someone setting down a glass. I hit replay. Just once. Then I texted Jasmine, approved, play it, because she was running this week's all hands. At 10 a.m., the staff filled the atrium. Rows of folding chairs, coffee carts wheeled in. Jasmine stood under the skylight in her burgundy blazer, holding the room like it was built for her voice. She didn't say my name once. She didn't have to. She played the clip. Short. Brutal. Then she looked around and said, This is what unexamined power sounds like. This is what happens when a woman's silence is taken for incompetence. Someone in the back muttered, Damn. She went on, calm and precise. It stops here. Our culture won't tolerate arrogance disguised as leadership. And just so we're clear, Leah didn't ask me to say any of this. Pause. She didn't have to. The applause wasn't loud. It was solid, honest. The kind that doesn't need cheering to prove it matters. Afterward, people lined up to speak to Jasmine, to shake her hand. Even Travis, his face red, eyes grateful, stood behind the interns, waiting his turn. I stayed in the back, watched every second, not to be seen, just to witness. When it was over, Jasmine caught my eye through the crowd, just for a beat. Then she gave a slow, deliberate nod. Message received. Legacy secured. I returned to my office, poured tea, opened the vendor reports, because while they'd just discovered who I was, I had never stopped working. And the next move, my final one, was already in play. The final domino didn't fall. It walked in. Monica stepped into my office, her usual confidence wrapped in something quieter. She closed the door behind her. No more ghosts, she said. I glanced up. Something happen? She dropped a slim envelope on my desk. Series B is confirmed. Full board approval. Public announcement hits tomorrow. I stared at it. The moment we'd been building toward for 3 years. The reason I stayed quiet, stayed small, stayed invisible, so the structure would stand, untouched by ego or scandal. It was real now. Your name goes public, Monica said. No more stealth mode. You'll be listed as CEO on every newswire in under 12 hours. I held the envelope. It felt heavier than I expected. Not from weight, just history. Monica sat. You ready? I nodded. Yeah. Then she said, "There's one more thing." She opened her laptop, flipped it toward me. Claire, Ryan's ex, sitting in some sunlit cafe, talking on a live stream. The caption, "My ex's girlfriend was secretly his boss the whole time." I clicked the audio. Claire spoke softly. He always bragged about how he kept her afloat, said she'd be nothing without him. I believed it too, until her name started trending in tech circles, until I found out she owns half the trucks he used to route. A laugh then. That woman wasn't some placeholder. She built the table and let him think he was welcome at it. I closed the laptop. Monica raised an eyebrow. "Want us to issue a statement?" I shook my head. "Let her talk. It's truth, not drama." She smiled. "You sure you don't want a parade? The internet's gearing up to crown you." I leaned back in my chair. "I don't need a crown." I looked out the window. Trucks bearing our logo passed in quiet formation down the interstate. None of them knew who I was. That was the point. I built this company so I'd never need permission again. But starting tomorrow, I wouldn't need invisibility either. And when the curtain dropped, every name in the system, every mouth that laughed, doubted, dismissed, was about to learn mine. The press release hit at 9:01 a.m. sharp. By 9:17, my inbox was a war zone. Subject lines screamed, "Meet Leah Morgan, the silent CEO who outsmarted everyone." Invitations flooded in. Panels, podcasts, profiles. And at 9:36, the office lobby phone rang. Jasmine answered. Then she leaned into my office, eyes wide. "It's Ryan." I didn't look up. "What does he want?" She hesitated. "He's downstairs. Says he wants to apologize. Privately." I stood, smoothed my jacket, then walked to the elevator. Doors opened, and there he was, waiting, pale, smiling, too wide, holding a folder. He stood like he hadn't burned it all down, like we were still something. "Leah," Ryan said, voice too smooth, too practiced. "Thank you for seeing me." I didn't answer, just motioned to the conference room. He followed, placed the folder on the table like it was sacred. I stayed standing. "This isn't about begging," he said. "It's clarity." I raised an eyebrow. "You want redemption? In a folder?" He opened it. Inside, a proposal, branding deck, logistics redesign, pitching a new company. His. He smiled. "I want to build something. For real this time. And I want your advice." I stared at him, then down at the logo he'd designed. It was a poor imitation of ours, like tracing ambition with broken chalk. "Ryan," I said, voice level, "you still don't get it." He blinked. "You think this is about business, about getting back in. But this," I tapped the folder, "this is just ego, dressed up in Canva." He stiffened. "I'm serious this time." "I know," I said. "That's what worries me." His face twitched, smile cracking. "You're not even going to look?" I took the folder, held it up, then dropped it into the shred bin by the door. He flinched. "Wow." I stepped closer. "I gave you chances, more than you earned. And still, you laughed, you lied, you leveraged me like I was invisible." He opened his mouth. I cut him off. "This isn't revenge, Ryan. It's memory. I remember everything." He stood fast, chair scraping tile. "You think you're untouchable now, don't you?" "No," I said. "I think I'm unbothered." He stormed past me, hand on the door, then paused. "You know what the joke is, Leah? You built the whole damn ladder, then forgot what it's like to be at the bottom." I tilted my head. "No," I said softly. "I remember exactly what it's like. That's why I'll never date anyone who'd rather climb me than climb with me." He left, didn't slam the door, just walked out, folderless. Outside, Jasmine watched him pass with a sip of her coffee, then turned to me. "You good?" she asked. I nodded. "He came for my crown." She smirked. "Didn't realize it wasn't his size." I smiled and closed the door.